system. Now let us discuss one very important topic, that is which will be asked in the interview. That is the difference between CMD versus entry point. So what is the difference between CMD and entry point? So both these commands are used in Docker file in order to execute certain commands. Okay, let's say you want to execute some commands. You can either use CMD and entry point. But what is the major difference? And this is where most of the candidates get confused. Okay, so we will get a very good clarity. So we will just discuss a small example, okay, very simple example, so that you can understand the difference between CMD and entry point. Okay. Now, if you remember, I told you that the Docker file naming convention has to be standard. Okay, so let me just remove everything here. I told you that the Docker file naming convention has to be written like this. But what if I want to give a different, I want to create a Docker file with a different name. So you can do it. Only thing is you have to mention the file name while building the image. Okay, so I will show you. So let's say I will create a file with the name Docker file CMD. So here I will show you the CMD command. So I'll create a Docker file. Simple Docker file I'll create. I'll just use the from command from Ubuntu, and I will use CMD. So CMD is written in this format. So whatever command that you want to execute, just run it. So let's say echo good morning. Okay. So whatever commands you are executing, just put them in the quotes like this, separated by a comma and within the square brackets. So this is how you write the CMD and entry point command. Okay, this is how you write it. Now I will do escape colon WQ. I will save this file. Now if I want to create an image from this Docker file, so let me just show you what we are doing here. So this is a Docker file which is related to CMD. Okay, and now from here, from this file, I want to create an image. So for that, I will run Docker build. Correct. I will just type build, and from this image, I will be creating a container. Correct. So for that, what I will do is I will create a container like this, and I can just run the command. So simple Docker file I've created. So here I will use the command Docker run. Now, when we are using a custom Docker file, you are using a different Docker file. So previously the command was Docker build followed by the image name followed by the directory where you are in. So dot means current directory. Now, if you are using a custom Docker file, you have to just mention the file name with -f flag followed by the file name. So in our case, it is Docker file -cmd, and where in which directory, it is the current directory only. So this is the command using which you can create a where you can build an image using a custom Docker file. So if we have given a separate different name also, this can also be asked in interview. Okay, so they will ask you in interview, is there a necessity that you have to use Docker file only? Can I rename it to something else? Then yes, for that you have to just add an additional flag, that is -f, that is the file name, Docker file.cmd. Now let me give the image name as img, let's say CMD. So this is a CMD image. So let me copy this image and paste it here. Did I miss something? Docker build. Okay, sorry. -t. I forgot. So this is the tag. So this is the name I want to give. Okay, so this has created a image now. Now Docker images, if I run, it has created a image with the name img cmd. Let me delete this image also. Docker rmi followed by the image name. Okay. So we have created an image with the name uh, img, let's say image cmd. So this is a cmd image. Similarly, we will create a docker file which will be related to entry point command. So I will give the name as docker entry, and same ways I will build this. So I will create a file vi docker file entry. Same, I will use the same commands here from Ubuntu, and let's say here I will use entry point, and here I will use echo. Let's say good morning. Okay, so this has to be written in the quotes separated by commas and within the square brackets like this. Okay, that's it. Simple Docker file I've created. Now again I will run docker build -t img entry and file name -f. This is the docker file and the current directory. So dot will be current directory. So now let me clear the screen again. Now I have two images. One image is related to CMD. I have used CMD command, and here I have used the entry point command. Now let's try to run this command. So for that I will use docker run followed by img cmd. So I'm getting an output good morning. Now same ways what I will do is I will run this image. Again here also I'm getting good morning. Okay. Now how is it different now? Now let's see. I will use this command. I will run this command and pass an additional argument. Let's say echo good, let's say evening. Now here, when I just ran this command, when I directly run this image, I was getting an output good morning. But here, when I run this command, good evening, this default command which was there inside the Docker file, okay, which was good morning, it got overwritten. Okay, so good morning got replaced by good evening. Okay, now let's try to do it with entry point. Same command, this same command I will run it with the entry point, and I'll just remove this echo off here, and let's see what is the output. So this good morning which was there by default, it ran as it is, it got executed as it is, and this good evening got executed additionally. So the difference between CMD and entry point is that whatever commands that you mention in the CMD, they can be easily overwritten. But the command that you mention in the entry point, they will run as it is. Okay, and whatever additional that you mention, they will get executed. But the default command will not get overwritten. The default command will not get replaced. This is the basic difference between CMD and entry point, which most of the candidates get confused. So when interviewer asks you, what is the difference between CMD and entry point? Simply tell them that in CMD, whatever commands that we mentioned, default commands that we mentioned, they can be easily overwritten by passing the arguments. So here I have passed the argument. Okay. But the commands that we mentioned in the entry point, they are not overwritten, but they are run as a default command. And the command that we mentioned additionally, they will get executed additionally. So now even if I run this good evening and let's say a good afternoon, anything, all this will get executed, but this will get executed additionally. The default command will not get replaced. Okay, but here in case of CMD, the default command which we have entered can be easily replaced by passing the argument. Now, how is this useful in real time? So in real time, what you can do is you can combine these two commands, CMD and entry point, wherein you can pass this argument. Let's say entry point apt install -y. So this will command will get executed by default, and CMD you can pass on to, let's say you have changed your mind and you want to install some additional packages, so you can make use of this CMD command. Let me just copy that command and show you how it is used in real time. So let me create a Docker file only here. Let me clear everything. Vi Docker file, and let's try to copy these things. So here base image is Ubuntu. I'm updating the machine, and in entry point what I've done is this command will get executed by default. That is apt install -y, and whatever that I pass here as an argument will get executed. I'll show you. Escape :wq. So let me try to build this image. Docker build -t like this. Okay. So this image got built. Now what I will do, if I check the Docker images, so this is the image which I have created just now. Now what I will do is Docker run followed by this image, and let's see what will happen. So you see Git is getting installed in that container, right? So since I passed this argument, or let me just show you here, since I passed this argument in CMD, what is happening is apt install -y command is getting executed along with Git is getting executed. Okay. Now let me clear the screen and run docker ps-a. You can see apt install -y got executed. Okay. So this is the container which got created, or which I just created. Okay. Now let me try something else. Now let me do docker images, and let me run docker run followed by the image name. So this is my image followed by, let's say, Apache 2. What do you think what will happen? Here instead of Git, Apache will get installed in that container. Let me run it. You see Apache is getting installed. So here in this entry point and CMD can be useful in case if you want to install some packages. Okay, you did not add it in the Docker file, but at later point of time you realize that you want to install certain packages additionally. You can just keep these commands here inside your Docker file and just keep on passing the arguments, and all those packages will get installed. Okay, now let me clear the screen and try docker ps-a. You can see Apache got installed in the recent container which got created. And similarly, you can keep on trying multiple things. Now let's see if I do docker run my image, and you can pass any additional arguments. Let's say I want to install tree package. Okay, or let's say I want to install some other packages, or let's say I want to install Apache 2, or MySQL. I don't know whether MySQL will get installed in a single command. So tree is a package which can be, these are some additional packages. So you can keep on adding the package names by separated by a space. Or let's say I want to install Docker, if I can install it in a single line, or any other packages, I can just keep on passing these arguments like this, additional arguments, and those packages will get installed. So if I try to hit this, it will install tree and it will install Apache. See, like it is installing Apache. So you will have a privilege, you will have a convenience to install additional packages at later point of time. So if I run docker ps-ai, you can see a tree package got installed and Apache also got installed additionally. So I don't have much space here, that is the reason why it is not visible. But two packages got installed, tree package got installed, and an Apache package got installed. So this is where CMD and entry point can be used. So coming back to the differences, here in CMD you define the commands to be executed when the container starts. But this command can be easily overwritten. Whatever command you mention in the CMD, it can be easily overwritten. Okay. So here it is used to provide the default commands which you can easily override it at later point of time. But when it comes to entry point, these are the commands that will get executed when a container starts, same as CMD, but the commands that you are mentioning in the entry point, it cannot be overwritten. Okay. And they are passed, whatever command you are mentioning in the entry point, that is the default command. Whatever you want additionally, you can pass it as an additional argument. Okay, so that is where we have seen this with a simple example here, and you can try this example and you can get more clarity. So this is the output also I've given here in the notes.